So I used to think that buying a cinema camera, buying a professional camera, buying the cameras that I saw on YouTube, all rigged out, would instantly make my work look cinematic and legit. I can say 10 years later, it's very, very wrong. I was very, very wrong. Yeah. But thankfully, I understand why I was very wrong. And in today's video, I want to talk about how gear matters, but experience matters more. Let's talk about it. So I picked up my first camera, I believe in the summer of 2015. And I genuinely believed, and I believe a lot of others too can attest that, especially in this day and time, that, you know, we're under the impression that as long as we had the gear, if we get the gear that we saw, we could create the work that we see on social media. And I'm talking about what I saw in 2015, and more importantly, what I saw my friends were doing, because I somehow got, well, actually, I wasn't somehow, I was dating someone, and his friends were into photography and stuff. So that's how I got into it. That's how I was introduced to it. But I was fully convinced, like, if I get their camera, get what they're doing, like, I can totally make this stuff. And I will say, I was never under the impression that I buy the camera, I push the button, I'm instantly legit. I knew there was going to be some work involved. I knew there was going to be some effort that had to, be put in. But I thought, it wasn't going to take that long. It was going to catch on. It was going to work out for me really, really quickly. And I was very, very wrong. I was very, very wrong. Very wrong. And so over the years, as I've learned, as I've improved, as I studied, I couldn't help but thinking these last couple months specifically, maybe just this year in general, but specifically these last couple months, of just how I would always, back in the day, would see these YouTubers and these videos talking about gear doesn't matter, and then, like, it's changed over time, like, gear does actually matter, it actually matters a lot, and then it's still back and forth, gear doesn't matter, gear doesn't matter, you can do anything with an iPhone these days, I can make you an iPhone filmmaker in 30 days, all this stuff. And it just really had me thinking, what's the truth here? Like, what does gear matter? Can I just be an iPhone filmmaker? And I wouldn't say that I went down a rabbit hole, but I did. I did a little bit. I did obsess about it for a couple of months for sure, trying to understand this concept. And I came away with this epiphany, I guess, essentially, or I don't know. I guess we're just going to go with epiphany, that gear matters. It absolutely matters, but experience matters more. I feel like we can at least agree here, right? Or have some kind of agreement that cinematography, film, content is subjective. Because at the end of the day, it's art, but there's still a baseline. There's still this gulf, this chasm, if you will, if that's the word I want to use, between those who don't know what they're doing and those who do know what they're doing. Like, when you come across that content that, this person knows exactly what there is they're doing, and the one that, they're doing their best, they're working at it, they're getting there. Shout out to them from showing up, right? And I think of this in terms of, like, I can compare it to the films and the series that are produced and platformed on HBO and Apple TV. Lord, did I say Apple TV? Apple TV versus Now That's TV. Now, I'm going to say this right now, okay? I didn't know anything about Now That's TV until I went and visited my friends in Connecticut, and I'm going to choose my words wisely here, because Now That's TV is something else. But my friend, she is an editor for HBO, and so her reasoning for watching this type of television and this app is because she sees so much perfect, just, good stuff, as an editor for HBO and stuff like that. And working on the show like Welcome to Derry. Sometimes she just wants some ratchet television. She said she just wants some ratchet television. That's what Now That's TV is. They're not working with big budgets. I don't even know if they're working with a budget, but that's Now That's TV. And so I think of how Now That's TV is your ratchet. Some would definitely call it, I think, brain rot TV. Is it brain rot? Brain rot content? I don't know. Whatever the title is. And it's free, and it's free. And then the other one is, critically acclaimed, and they have a cult following. I am one of those that is a part of that cult following. Definitely for Severance. I didn't know it was going to have me in a chokehold like this, but it did. And I'm one of those people. Definitely one of those people. And so I struggled with the concept that gear doesn't matter, especially, when I see documentaries like The Standard on YouTube. And I know that the team was fairly nimble. I maybe was a team of like 5, 10 tops, weren't working with Ari, Alexis, or Venice cameras. They're just shooting on FX6s and Ronin 40s, right? Compared to, Surviving Black Hawk Down, which was filmed with cameras you can't even buy. You have to rent them, and if you break them, that's going to cost you $45,000, right? So, and I'm sure the crews were substantially bigger, and they were definitely, visiting more places, which now I kind of think about that too, is like, maybe the budget actually goes into the travel versus actually the camera packages and the grip trucks and things like that, right? But then, I also think about the movies, like The Creator. That was filmed with an FX3. And, I also think of, obviously, Severance that was filmed with an FX3. Or Civil War that was filmed with the Ronin 4D. And now, 28 years later, I have to verify this because I feel like I did. Forgive me, I did script this a while ago. And I feel like I did research this, but I feel like it was very, I don't feel like it was concrete, evidence. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. But from what I could find, 28 years later, it was filmed on an old and out of commission Canon XL1, but also definitely was filmed with the iPhone 16s, multiple iPhone 16s. We do know that. We've seen plenty of pictures from the sets and I think behind the scenes footage too, that it was filmed with the iPhone 16s. And so, yeah, I'm really sitting here just okay. I see, especially when I think of these documentaries, between, Mark Bones, The Standard, and then Surviving Black Hawk Down. Genuinely, just from my perspective, they both look great. I do see there's a little, a different look, a little polished look for sure with Surviving Black Hawk Down, but, The Standard's punching above its weight class. It looks just as good. I wouldn't say it looks better. I would enjoy watching both documentaries. They both look beautiful, beautiful shots. But one had a small team running on consumer grade cameras versus one that had way more shoots, way more time. There's a whole video. This is why we're talking about Surviving Black Hawk Down on Mark Bones' channel, of the lighting. Oh my goodness, the lighting. I can't even get my words together. The lighting, not diagram, but the lighting setup that he made for these scenes in Surviving Black Hawk Down, which was, amazing, but a lot of work, a lot of hands. I'm sure a lot of time and effort to put that together. And so, yeah, I just, I kind of had this epiphany though, as I was really trying to think about it and really wrestle through, I guess, trying to understand, essentially my issue really is money, always money, of just well, if we can do it with a team of 5 or 6, why don't we do it with a team of 5 or 6? Or if anybody asks us if we can do it with a team of 5 or 6, why wouldn't we do it? Versus that, I just need to know. I need to feel confident in the reason why, I choose an FX6 over a Sony Venice, right? Or why I would choose just a basic form of diffusion versus cove lighting or book lighting, because it's just really a lot. And we don't have the budget, we don't have the money for these RE, lights to power through all these pieces of diffusion to get this soft light that we're looking for. So I just really want to be confident. I really want to understand. And this is when I had the epiphany, right? Because before that, let me say this. A lot of people were like, well, a lot of the issues that really, like I said, was money, but also too, it was just like, well, I don't even know. Like I said, it really was messing with my head of just like, yeah, why would you spend the extra money if you don't have to? If we can just use consumer grade equipment, Is there any more barrier to entry? Is there any more, is money now is no longer a problem to get a blockbuster movie or a critically acclaimed documentary, with a $4,000 camera, stuff like that. So I hope that made sense. But where I'm getting to with my epiphany was this. The creator used the FX3 because it was easier to rig for certain complex shots. Severance used the FX3 for ease of use as well. Civil War used the Ronin 4D for ease of use. 28 years later, used the old Canon camcorders for a stylistic approach that matched the digital look of the original. 28 days later, and the iPhones for environmental purposes, since they would be filming in natural locations that could be damaged by, heavy camera equipment and rigging. And it's also important to mention that, these DPs and these cinematographers have years of experience, and they have crews that know how to light spaces, and not faces. The consumer grade cameras were paired with expensive and mostly lenses that, can only be rented by registered professionals, and they cost a fortune per day, The lighting was massive and expensive, all shots were planned out and rehearsed. And this is why gear does matter, but experience matters more. These professionals choosing consumer grade equipment, not because it was cheaper, but because it was the right tool to accomplish the look or complex shot they wanted to achieve. Light bulb went off. It's clear to me now. It's clear to me now. It's clear to me now. So yeah, I know if you're in this industry, and wherever you are in your filmmaking journey, cinematographer journey, videographer journey, somebody's come up to you and has complimented your camera and not your expertise, your knowledge, your work ethic, the fact that you have been grinding for 10 plus years trying to understand white balance, trying to understand, why do I use a negative fill and why wouldn't I use it? What's a bounce? What's foam core? What's bleached muslin? All that stuff. Being able to use natural lighting because that's the only light that you have available. Just like I could not sit here and think of all the things that it takes just to film a simple talking head video. The things that I have to think about, to take into account, to get the shot that I have. But it took practice. It took time. It took effort. And it was more than just buying the camera. The camera is the tool to bring my vision to life, to bring my client's vision to life, to bring the director's vision to life. And so I guess the question is, how do you gain experience that matters? Especially when people just think they can just go out and buy the camera that you have. Because let's be honest, or at least honest with myself, that I thought that in the beginning. Like I said, I thought there was a little bit of work I had to put into, but not this much, not 10 years worth. And so I will say that, and I can only speak from my own experience and what I've, have done to get to this point and where I want to be in the future and in the next 10 years, is practice. Study, practice, practice, study, study, practice, practice, study. If I was to, so we all know, or maybe you don't know, okay, you probably don't know, but I'm going to talk about it. So if you don't know, I did not go to film school. I was what the heck was I in college? I was a sports administration major with a minor in business administration. My background essentially is in marketing, PR, selling, sales management, all that type of stuff. There was not anything about film involved in my degree, right? You know, maybe I hired the people, or maybe I hired an agency to hire the people, but like that wasn't my background, and it at the time really wasn't my passion. When I picked up my first camera, like I said early in this video in 2015, my actual goal was to become a photographer. It necessarily wasn't to become a cinematographer and a DP. That happened over time. When I graduated college and I saw the writing on the wall that I would not be able to, get a job in my field. And if I did get a job in my field, it wouldn't pay the bills. And that was very, very unfortunate. And if I did get a job that did somehow pay the bills, I would have to live in Utah. And I love Utah, but I don't want to live in Utah. So what do I do? And I just happened to just kind of have photography as a hobby. And so therefore I started really trying to learn and really grow and realize how much I loved photo and video. But as time went on, I loved video more because video was more challenging. Now, there's no knock to photographers or anything like that, but I feel like unless you're a specialty photographer, like what is it called? Like a editorial or newborn, something like that, as long as you have the equipment and you know composition and you know how to expose your shot correctly, pretty much everybody can create the same thing that you can create, just like I take my behind the scenes photos. It's what you're looking for, but I know how to expose and all that stuff. But there's nothing special that I do, and I didn't want to pursue photography in that way and just be special. I really wanted video because video was a challenge and it's just never ending. You just never arrive. There's always something to learn. There's something always to do, and I just love it. And also too, no one can ever just show up, buy the gear, maybe practice for a couple months and do the same thing that you're doing. And that's just my opinion. Okay, that's my opinion. That's not rooted in fact. And also my experience. So there's that. So as time, went on, I learned, I was really more passionate about video. So of course I get into weddings. I filmed weddings for a couple years. They were really good, but I hated them. I did. I hate weddings. And the longer I'm away from weddings, because I think last time I filmed a wedding was 3-4 years ago, something like that. Crazy. Yeah. 3 years, something like that. It's been a minute. I don't even want to film a friend's wedding, if I'm being honest. I didn't want to come out of retirement. I really genuinely hate weddings. And that's okay. I know I wasn't passionate about it. Why do it? And then, events, corporate work is really why I'm full-time. But that does get boring after a while. Photographing the same event year after year. Filming the same event year after year. It pays the bills, though, so I'll still do it. But it's not something that I want to do. And in between figuring that out and realizing, I don't think I want to do corporate work for the rest of my life and that be part of that's the only thing I offer in my business. I was getting the algorithm on YouTube was, serving up more cinematographer DP work. And so I was like, that's definitely what I want to do, and definitely invested in courses so I can learn more, access my network of people that are already in the industry. And so it's just now a matter of resources at this point and more experience on set so that I'm confident, but in the meantime, being able to do small things and, produce videos like this of what I've learned in the past, and what looks good on a budget with a team of 1 person or 2 people and things like that. Because at the end of the day, every phase of my life or every phase of this career, I have been ready for what I need to be ready for. And yeah, it's a very unconventional path to get here. And yeah, I could have gotten to where I wanted to go quicker, but I had no idea that's what I wanted to be. I didn't know that was my career goal was the end all be all was cinematographer DP. So I'm thankful that I am that now, but on a small scale. And so now I am able to work with smaller budgets, smaller teams, and build up that confidence and then be able to do something like Severance or Emmy nominated stuff like that. That might be a goal. Might not. Might be just, documenting, being a part of documentary projects like, surviving Black Hawk Down, I don't know. But I have direction. I know where I want to go and where I want to be. But I wouldn't be able to do that, to be where I am today, to have that vision or that plan, if I didn't practice, if I didn't show up every day, if I didn't study my work, and try to in a healthy way compare my work to other people's work and strive to get there. If I just stopped, if I just thought my stuff was good enough, essentially. I know that's, comparison is definitely the thief of joy. But I feel like there is a happy medium of knowing, like, okay, I need to work on my stuff. I need to get better. I need to practice, there's videos with, have you seen with the stuff I've been posting lately, old videos, old work, where it was just like, I had some stuff down. I'm getting the hang of it, but I'm still struggling with white balance, right? And I was like, okay, that's something this year that I'm gonna have to work on is, white balance. I'm not super comfortable with balancing a gimbal, but hey, I can't afford a robot arm, so I'm gonna have to really hone in and develop that skill and just find time and build it in the schedule to learn how to balance the gimbal and ninja walk and relax my arms, relax my hands so I can get those micro jitters and make my footage the best that it possibly can do. Look, on a budget. And just learning every day, practicing, studying. And I will say this, when it comes to this industry, when it comes to this career, you can't be in it for the money. You can make a good living, a really good living, but you can't just be in it to make a good living, to make good money, things like that. You have to be passionate about it because there's just so much to learn. So many things are changing. And we got AI, and I'll talk about this for like 2.5 seconds. AI it's a big fear in this industry. We got some people that are gonna get really mad about it and really give you a piece of their mind when it comes to AI. And I am definitely one of those people that feels some type of way for sure about AI, but at the same time, the more I sit here and I really think about AI, I see an opportunity. And that's entrepreneurship in a nutshell. It's just being able to see opportunities. I see, how the market has been flooded with, everybody's a videographer, everybody's a content creator, everybody's a cinematographer, everybody's a DP, everybody does that. Everybody's an editor, everybody's this, everybody's that, right? How do you stand out? How do you break through the noise, when everybody is doing what you're doing, right? And I see the opportunity in AI. I definitely use AI in my workflow in some things, and I've seen some great benefits with AI. But AI, as far as taking our jobs as cinematographers, DPs, and things like that, I fully believe, wholeheartedly believe, that there's no way AI is going to be more creative than a human being. AI is able to only replicate what's already out there and what we put in there, and still probably look the same as everybody else. I think about the crave with captions. I think back in 2023, where everybody was using the same 3 caption AI apps, and all our content looked the same. And that's what's going to be able to help you as a filmmaker, you as a cinematographer, videographer, whatever you are, business owner, small business owner, stand out amongst everybody else is that the fact that you don't use AI, that you actually use your brain, that you actually put effort into your campaigns and into your content, and you're going to stand out. And I think that provides an opportunity for us who are passionate about filmmaking, us who are passionate about, being a gaffer, being a cinematographer, and we're not in it just for the money. We're not trying to do something real quick and, get in and get out. Like, we're really passionate about this art form, and we're going to be in business. We're going to be indispensable. They're going to be looking for us, because something I was thinking about, I was watching this video I saw on Facebook or something like that. And this guy had all this 2 guys I've seen on social media that had all this gear they had to set up, and they did it by themselves. And I was just like thinking to myself, like, there is no way I would set all those lights up. I would set that boom mic up. have that camera rig by myself. There's no way. But then again, I'm like, if that's the budget, if that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do. If, if I'm in a small town and it's just me, that's just, that's what I'm gonna have to do. And there was a point where I thought to myself, I'm being lazy. I'm trying to cut corners. Now I will say there's times that, there is burnout. Like, this is just too much on me. There's no way I can do this by myself, and I need to get a team. Yes, or I'm forgetting things, small things, simple things, because I'm trying to do it all by myself. Get a team. Put that in the quote. All those things, right? Have the client pay for it, because it's definitely worth the money that they're spending. But if it is something that you can do, yeah, it's a little bit more effort, and I'm gonna have to come in a little bit early, and I'm gonna have to be strategic with my shot list and how I set things up. Get it done. Like, me coming in here, it's been, I think, 2 months, maybe 3, since I came in here and shot something in the studio. And I was like, dadgum, I forgot how I set things up, how I did stuff efficiently. But I was like, you know what? Let me just set what's already in here that's already in the studio up, have it already out, set up the other stuff in the, and then from there, just move things into place. And if it takes me more than 30 minutes or it takes me an hour, it takes me an hour. It's worth it for the shot to look the way that it looks, what you see today, right? And so, and that's why how AI will never take my job, how AI will never replace me, is because I'm putting in the effort, because I'm really putting the thought into the frame and the look and the color grade and checking my, what is it called, my false colors and, checking my LUT and things like that, and just really being intentional. Because with that intentionality makes there's just effort. There's just effort. And with AI, it's going to be the same thing that you see from everybody else. It's going to be cookie cutter. It's going to be simple. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be interesting, definitely, to see in the future. But yeah, it's just, you just got to be passionate about this. You got to be passionate about it. You got to take the time. You got to put the effort in, and that alone eliminates half the competition, if we're going to call them competition. It eliminates half the people who don't have the good intentions and are not passionate about it or whatever, or see this as some way to make easy money. That's always the crazy thing when it comes to filmmaking. Oh, this is a way to make quick buckets. Okay. Undercharge if you want to and get burned out, whatever you want to do. Go the cheap route if you want to. But if you don't have the skills, you don't have the experience, you don't have the knowledge, it won't matter. It won't matter. And so, yeah. Experience is going to matter more than the gear that you own. And the only way you're going to get that is you go out there and you practice and you put in the work. And I can say, after 10 years of practicing, studying my work and trying to get better, that I have never felt more confident in my abilities to film on a crop sensor camera, to film on my Osmo Pocket 3, to film with my phone, to film with a Venice, with a RE Mini LF, what's the other camera? A red camera. It doesn't matter. Put it in my hand. I know what I'm doing. Put any light in my hand. I know what I'm doing. It's just right now my issue is obviously forgetting small things, because I have so much things that I have to, to think about and, set up and things like that. And that's where I'd be like, oh, I probably need a second AC, first AC. I need a gaffer. I need a grip, because I'm forgetful. And I want to make sure this shoot and this project is the best that it possibly can be. And we don't fall short because, I forgot a memory card or something like that. I forgot the MPF battery. I forgot the mic at home. So, all that stuff. Backups on backups on backups. And so, yeah. If I haven't said it through this long, passionate rant, or maybe I should tell you my goals. So right now, in my current career, is that, I'm a small cinematographer. I'm a solo cinematographer, maybe a crew of 1 or 2 people. And I am completely content with that. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that, because I'm confident in doing jobs like that with smaller budgets. But of course, I still want to be on bigger sets. I still want to take on bigger projects and bigger budgets, but only when I'm ready. And I have confidence in myself that I am not one to constantly, make excuses and say that I'm not ready, I'm just not ready, I'm not ready, and I'm never ready, right? No, I will be ready. Here in the next couple of years, I'll definitely will be ready, but I'll be confident in taking on those bigger jobs and bigger budgets. And I'm thankful to have already resources waiting on the day that I am ready to tap into use them for those bigger projects. And so I'm just wow. That's all I can say. It's just, it's crazy. It's, like I said, it was never, to get here was never a straight line. It was all kinds of things, just a very unconventional way to get here. But the fact that, all the experience that I have, from the events that I've shot over the years using just the natural light that's available, to having controlled lights, photography, just everything I've experienced over the years has helped me in every facet of becoming the cinematographer that I am today, and what I'm learning now to be ready for the bigger jobs that I want to take on. And so, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. Wouldn't change it for the world, though. I'm trying to weave this in, but if, how to gain the experience that matters just through practice. And I can speak from my own experience that everything that I've learned up to this point, whether it's, from an event, whether it's been from, filming weddings, photography, everything I've learned over these years, every job that I've taken on, I have gotten something out of it to help me as a cinematographer now. And also, what I'm learning and doing with smaller teams and smaller budgets, like being able to create something that, like, I think, for instance, like being able to be a good gimbal operator and being able to get shots with, just like, I think it's the iFootage slider with, the Ronin, Ronin S4 attachment to it. And then, just doing stuff with things that are like definitely on a budget compared to just being able to get a robotic arm. Like, I would love to be able to use that. That would be so much easier, but that's not in the budget, right? So what can you do on a budget? And just being able to know how to create great work with little. So then when I have a lot, it's a breeze. It's easy when the budget is there. Like, and so, like, what I'm trying to get at, or what I'm trying to say, is that, no project, no free work or anything that you've done over the years, if you're practicing and you're trying to get to where you want to be in your filmmaking journey, or in your small business, or whatever it is that whatever you're doing and pursuing, nothing is a waste. There's always something to learn. There's always something that is going to build you up and prepare you for the next phase, for the next step. And I can attest to that. So please don't think that because you didn't go to film school, because I did feel that way for a while. But thankfully I met some friends that did go to film school, so I got some insight or anything like that, and definitely some motivation and some encouraging words that film school doesn't matter. You putting in the work and you learning and applying anything that you learn matters. I'll say that about college just a little bit. I feel like it's fair to say that college is more theory than it is actually practice, putting it into practice. That's what your internships are supposed to be and things like that. So, I know, what a profit and loss statement is, but how do I apply that to my job? What a P&L is, something else, but still. And so even if I went to film school, I had hands-on with the RA Mini LF, or, a Sony Venice, had these sets or anything like that. What do I do on an actual real set with actual real, call sheets and, I don't know, I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now. What do I do when I'm on set and, the talent doesn't show? Do we have a backup? What do I do on set if, the co-location that we're supposed to shoot at gets rained out? Did I prepare for a backup, or a second location? Did we have that in the budget? Did I quote that? Just all these things that yeah, I learned about it in school, but what am I going to do in this situation when it happens now? And that only happens through trial and error and through practice and showing up every day. And so, yeah, so that's how you gain experience. That's genuinely how you gain experience. So please do not think that anything that you're doing is a waste of time, that it doesn't add value, that it's not going to get you in the direction or where you want to go. It is. There's some positive, there's some lesson that can be learned from that, can be gathered from that. And all you got to do is keep showing up and keep getting better. Okay. So maybe this video is a long one. I don't know. You know me, when I edit, when I get in the booth and edit these videos, like, I try to find the good gems, but I feel like I ranted a lot there at the end. So, but as always, I hope this video was helpful. I especially hope this video was helpful, as it was helpful for me having this epiphany and learning about that. And I just felt like I needed to share it. But yeah, if you like this video, you found some value in it, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with a friend, because sharing is caring. And I will catch you in the next video. Love you, even though I don't know you.